Woman thought she was bloated, then looks in the toilet. Caitlin looks down and her mouth drops open. She slowly creeps back toward the bathroom door, eyes fixated on the sight before her. Hundreds of questions run through her mind as she shouts for help. Her husband comes rushing in and is as confused as her. The pair look at each other and pause. What had happened? James and Caitlin Lane had lived a charmed life up until now. When they found each other, they both knew that it was love at first sight. It wasn't long before they had moved in together. They bought a lovely home and adopted 2 golden retrievers, but for Caitlin, being a mom had always been the dream. She grew up in a large family, so she knew how important family was. Up until now, she had been content to play house, until one fateful day. Married in 2017, the couple had put down roots in the city Buffalo, New York. Everything was on track to being a happy family. The next logical step was, of course, to grow their family. The dogs were their fur babies, but what Caitlin really wanted were children of her own, with the love of her life. So one day, she stopped taking her birth control pills. Caitlin made sure to take all her prenatal vitamins. She ate healthy and made sure to get enough rest. But despite all their efforts, a year had passed and there was still no baby. Caitlin knew that she needed some tests, so she made an appointment with her doctor. To her relief, the results came back clear. What was the problem? Caitlin and James knew that there had to be some way, anyway, to make their dream of a family a reality. They considered IVF, but upon further investigation found that the fees for the procedure were far more expensive than what they could afford. They decided that they would put their dreams on hold for now. Caitlin went back on the pill. Then 7 months later, something happened that explained everything. It was a Sunday evening and Caitlin had just celebrated the weekend by going to drinks with her girlfriends. As she walked back into her apartment, she greeted her husband with a hug before making her way to the bathroom. Once finished in the toilet, she got up and turned around to wash her hands. But then she sees something. It's on the toilet seat. Caitlin's mouth drops as she starts to question what caused this to happen. She shouts for help and her husband comes rushing in. He looks at Caitlin and is just as confused. Maybe it's because of the new cleaner I use, she stammers, pointing to the toilet seat. It had turned bright blue. But as it turned out, the mysterious blue ring on the porcelain wasn't caused by a new cleaning product, and its presence had far more serious implications. The next morning, Caitlin called the doctor's office. Squeaking to the consulting nurse, she said, "I know this is a strange question. It's probably the strangest question anyone has ever asked you." The nurse said that she doubted that and asked Caitlin to proceed with her question. Then I proceeded. After she was finished laughing at me, she said it was the oddest question, and she asked around the office. More laughter and couldn't help me, Caitlin recalls. I then called my mother-in-law to check her bathroom since I had been there the night before. Totally normal, Caitlin explained. But she couldn't shake the feeling that there had to be something more to the strange occurrence. Her anxiety began to grow. Something was wrong with her, she just knew it. Lately, her colitis had been flaring up again, and she always felt tired and bloated. What was going on? That night, while Caitlin and her husband were nestled in bed, she got out her phone and Googled blue toilet seat. While she waits for the responses to load, she questions what it could possibly mean. If it wasn't the new cleaning product, what could it be? Then the page loads and Caitlin's face drops. Her heart begins to pound in her chest and her cheeks flush. Silently, she turns to her husband and shows him her phone. The next day, Caitlin finished work and headed straight to the pharmacy. As she walked into the store, she discreetly browsed the aisles while she slowly made her way over to the one aisle she wanted. The one aisle that would answer the hundreds of questions running through her mind. Hardly daring to breathe, she picked up the box and ran to the counter. It turned out that when she searched blue toilet seat the night before, it resulted in hundreds of results about how pregnancy hormones can turn porcelain toilet seats blue. Or the reason may be that she had chromhidrosis, a disorder of the sweat glands. She couldn't be pregnant though, that was impossible. But Caitlin knew she had to take a pregnancy test just to be sure. As Caitlin arrives back at her apartment, her husband rushes over to her, eager to find out the results. The two made their way to the bathroom to do the test. While she carefully follows the instructions on the box, they wistfully talk about what life would be like with a little human pattering about. Once the 3 minutes passed, finally she had the answer. And it was an answer she was not expecting at all. The result was positive. James and Caitlin look up from the test and embrace each other, bursting with excitement at the thought of their new life. "It was about time," Caitlin says before letting out a happy cry. Her husband then gets down on his knees and kisses Caitlin's stomach. Little did they know more surprises were to come. The day after, the pair managed to book an appointment at their local hospital. As they set off for their appointment, the couple discussed names, gender, and soccer teams. For Caitlin, who was still reveling in the excitement, she thought she was maybe 2 or 3 months pregnant. But once the doctor pulled out the ultrasound, the couple could not believe what they were looking at. Caitlin took her story to Reddit, where it went viral. Her post garnered hundreds of comments. One user wrote, "So insane, you are proof those didn't know I was pregnant stories are true. So interesting that you didn't really seem to feel baby before you knew. I always wonder about that." But Caitlin never could have imagined that she was this far along. Caitlin wrote, "The midwife asked if I felt movement and I told her I hadn't until the week I found out. It's like he was waiting for me to figure it out before making himself known. Now I can feel him constantly, especially when he gives me a kick to the ribs." Another user wrote, "What a wild ride. Thanks for sharing your story and congratulations." The ultrasound showed a full-size baby with his head down, a fully formed heart, everything. Both Caitlin and her husband were at a loss for words. The doctor concluded that she was about 7 months along. When Caitlin heard the news, she could not believe it. The two left that hospital that day, both speechless, excited, and ready to start their new life together, +1. After almost 2 years of trying, James and Caitlin had finally done it. Just 3 months after the good news, Caitlin delivered a healthy baby boy. "It was one of the best experiences of my life," she happily proclaimed. "I had no morning sickness or craving. That's why I didn't even know I was pregnant. The whole pregnancy just flew by." Wow, what a beautiful story. It just goes to show that your wildest dreams can come true at any given time. You can be doing something as simple as going to the toilet, and within a few minutes, your world has changed forever. Caitlin's bizarre story serves to remind us that we should all expect the unexpected and never give up on our dreams. After all, who knows? They may just be around the corner.